Hello and welcome to another one of our videos. We are J Hughes Security and my name is Andrew. In the Security Fundamentals series, we address topics related to security with the intent to give an overview of the topic while offering reliable actions that you can take right now. Today, it is almost impossible to surf through more than a few websites without being prompted to sign up or create an account, not to mention all of the accounts you need just to have a normal life. There's email, social media, apps, and products you use for personal or work life, news, and so much more. And what do all these have in common? They need a username and a password. In this video, we'll discuss how passwords are used and abused, as well as the best way to create and use passwords for all your accounts, with the goal of creating a more secure online experience. Humans are amazing creatures with many strong and defining skills. Unfortunately, creating truly random passwords for dozens or even hundreds of accounts isn't one of those skills. Instead, we try to find shortcuts or various strategies to develop passwords. Admittedly, this isn't always our fault. Companies or services with bad password practices, like strict rules for what is required in your passwords or arbitrary timelines to change your password, add to these bad habits. One of the most common strategies involves the use of a common word for a password base, and then adding some novel feature to it. Maybe the name of the website or app, and a few numbers or characters. Or perhaps it's by using the text replacement or one-off characters, such as replacing E with 3, L or I with 1, and so on. Another common strategy is to pick what is considered to be a very hard password, commit it to memory, and then use it in multiple or all accounts. This is known as password reuse, which according to one report can be seen in up to 53% of people. And we get it. When presented with a seemingly never-ending number of websites that require a password, we often default to something we know. But these passwords selected on the fly are often weaker than we think. Next, we'll briefly discuss how passwords are stored. There are two common methods for storing passwords. Many services only store a hash of the password, not the password itself, and this is a good thing overall. However, some still store the plain text of the password for any malicious actor to see. Hashing a password looks like this. On the website, you type in a password. Within the browser, a hashing algorithm is applied. In most cases, this happens before anything is actually sent to the service's database. Then that hash is sent to the service and stored, to be used later to check your future login attempts from. This is generally secure enough for now. However, some websites and services save the exact password you type in the database in plain text. That is, whatever you type is sent on exactly as it was entered to be stored in their records for anyone who gets it and sees it openly. So what happens when a malicious actor gets a hold of your password? They will often do some combination of at least these four things. First, if the password is a hash of the password, they may try to crack it by using special software that is widely available. This means that they test millions of different possible combinations in the hopes that the hash they create matches the one in your record, which means they have determined your actual password. Since many people use a common theme to their passwords, such as common words or the one-off approach, this process can be done successfully in just a few minutes depending on several factors. If they are able to crack your password, or if the service stores it in plain text from the beginning, they may then access your account to see what it contains that is of interest to them. Second, they will try the username and password across a host of other sites to see if any of them match. We already discussed how approximately 53% of people reuse the same password. So this is a way for malicious actors to try to get into other accounts, especially those of larger and more secure companies that it might be too hard to attack outright. Imagine an attacker breaking into the database of your local grocery store's rewards program and using the password from there to see if you reused it in your Gmail or bank account. Third, they may try to blackmail you with targeted phishing attacks. These are common enough since many services use an email as their username, and the attacker can leverage the scare factor by quoting your password exactly to make it seem like they have more than they really do. And finally, the attacker will often sell these large lists of usernames and passwords to make additional illegal money, as others may try any of the previous 3 steps. This may be because the list of hashed passwords is too large for them to go through on their own, or because they can still make some money off stale data. When it comes to strong passwords, there are a few good attributes to keep in mind: length, complexity, and uniqueness. Length is important for many reasons, but generally, the longer a password is, the more time it will take to guess all the possible combinations. A good password should be at least 12 to 14 characters, and a target of 20 to 24 is often considered best. One study by The Record looked at information from Microsoft that may indicate attackers are less likely to brute force passwords longer than 10 characters. Although there are other ways to crack a password, this is a sign that most crimes of opportunity simply won't take the time on longer passwords. Remember that they may not know how long the password actually is if it's hidden behind a hash, but are really measuring the time it takes to crack it and may move to easier targets. Complexities come in a few different forms. A completely random password of lowercase, uppercase, number, and special characters is one way. This can be done easily with the DuckDuckGo search engine, the NordPass password generator, even if you don't have their service, and nearly every password manager has this feature built in. Using a passphrase with 4 or more totally random words and spaces or characters in between them is another great way, and arguably the use of passphrases is considered more secure and easier to remember. Interruption is useful when creating a passphrase. Spaces between words or dividers such as numbers or special characters, and even the odd character in the middle of a word make the possible guesses incredibly numerous. EFF has a nice tool to generate random words, and there are other options too. Many password managers include this option. Links in the description for those. Uniqueness is another critical part of staying safe. That is, every password should be entirely unique and new to you for each account. Password reuse is terribly insecure. This includes using a common base word and just adding pieces onto it. There are many reasons it can be hard to reliably create good passwords. Some websites and apps have unreasonably strict or limiting password rules. These are called composition rules. They might limit you to no longer than a certain length, require that all 4 character types are used at least once, prevent you from using certain characters, such as spaces. The National Institute of Standards and Technology has stated that there should be no composition rules, and this serves at least 2 purposes. It makes it harder for an attacker to know what's in the password when there are no clear rules dictating how to create it, since it could be any and all of the possible options. Additionally, it makes it harder and more frustrating for individuals to create passwords. How many times have you come up with a great password only to tap submit and have the website or app say you're missing something or that it's too long? Another challenge is how many services arbitrarily require users to change their passwords for no reason other than a certain time has passed. Again, NIST recommends that a password or passphrase should only be required to be changed when there's a reason to believe it has been compromised. Every time Facebook is hacked, you should change that password, so roughly every 2 months. If you hear your bank was attacked, change your password, and so on for each account. Or if you become uncomfortable with how long you've kept the same password for a service, go ahead and change it. Otherwise, it's probably fine to let it stay the same for a long time, especially if you've followed a solid strategy to create it. Failing to create unique passwords for each service or app, or more specifically reusing passwords, can lead to a frenzy of password changes when one is breached. This can be a tremendous effort considering many people have many accounts and services. It's also incredibly hard for humans to be random enough with passwords when they need to make so many, and impossible to commit all of them to memory. A possible solution is to use a reliable and secure password manager. A password manager stores your various account login credentials, such as username and password. Most will also store the website address for easier autofill. This can also aid you in detecting possible fraud accounts. If you click on a link to go to a website and your password manager doesn't recognize the website for autofill, then that might be a good indicator to carefully double check the address and make sure it's the correct website before proceeding. proceeding. Occasionally, the password manager will offer additional information or functionality, such as notes so you can write about the website or account, a time-based one-time password, also commonly referred to as two-factor authentication, or fields to save challenge question responses. Almost all reputable and mature password managers can also help in another way. They create passwords for you on the fly, so you don't have to come up with one yourself and be tempted to reuse an existing password. All modern password managers that include a password generator will have at least a complex password generator, meaning that they can create random passwords of a length you choose with uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. Often they will allow you to toggle options on or off, such as when a website won't let you include special characters, or change the length at whim. One of the things we really like about 1Password and Bitwarden is that they allow for creating and setting a passphrase as the default. This could be with spaces or special characters or numbers in between the words. You can also choose how many words you'd like. One big additional reason that we recommend passphrases that wasn't mentioned earlier is the relative ease of reading and typing the password on a device that doesn't have your password manager installed. For instance, if you're on a public computer or at work where they don't support installing apps or browser extensions, trying to read and type a 20-character complex garbled password is time-consuming, and quite honestly, it just turns many people off from using those crazy passwords, understandably. However, reading 4 or 5 random words with spaces or characters in between the words is relatively easy and quick, all without sacrificing any security. The key point to using a password manager is that you trade out having to remember 20, 50, or even hundreds of difficult passwords to multiple services with needing to only remember one very hard passphrase for the password manager. Typing a passphrase of 5 to 7 words of between 5 to 7 characters long each and with separators in between goes quickly with practice and needs very infrequent changing. Here are some key takeaways from this video. Never use common passwords like 123456 or simply password. Never reuse passwords. Have a new password for every account. Always use passwords longer than 12 characters and preferably between 20 to 24 characters. Consider using passphrases with random words instead of the traditional password. Using a password manager may take a little getting used to, but can make the work of creating passwords and entering them tremendously easier and more convenient. You can check out our videos on password managers to help get you started. As a note, J. Hughes Security is not associated with or endorsed by any company displayed in this video. We hope that you have enjoyed this video and click the like button if you have found value. A lot of time and effort goes into each of our videos to try to make content that adds value to you. To help others find this information more readily, consider subscribing and sharing our video for others to see. As always, stay active and stay secure.